Early this morning, I woke up abruptly from a nightmare, and I'm actually kind of giggling about it a little bit as I say that because you're getting to see me in the real time processing of it, of moving from content into the experience of context, conscious awareness, and then back to content, which is what's happening right now as I'm recording this. It was super intense, that dream. It was a dream about betrayal. It was a bad dream, what I would call a real nightmare. In the dream, my beloved, who is now dead, had somehow turned me into Plan B. In this dream, there was deception, stuff he was doing with another woman, subterfuge. It was really just awful. I'll spare you the minutiae of detail for the most part, but as the dream played out, as it drew towards the end, in the dream, I saw him in a coffee shop with some other people and with her, and he said something like, "Yeah, I'm gonna sell these paintings." There were a series of paintings he had done, and I'm going to hang them here in the prison, he said. And I responded with, "Yeah, the only place there'll be any hanging is by your neck." And then I woke up. Pretty intense, right? I can assure you I wasn't laughing in the dream. I could feel my mind trying to make sense of it. The anger, the shame. Who could I tell about this? Who might judge me? But here's the thing. None of it actually made any sense. The images were pulled from different places. A coffee shop from years ago in Vancouver where I used to do promotions. The painting idea had probably come from what I was working on yesterday, a painting. Marlo wasn't a painter. The anger and vigilante feel, maybe that came from some spaghetti western way back in the annals of my brain. Who knows? There are also pieces of real betrayal in there, mixed into something that was completely manufactured and put together by my mind. You know, relational frame theory, it's a real thing, and I go into it in detail in my upcoming book called Beyond Bliss, Joy, Happiness, and Peace. Just a bit of shameless self-promotion there. So this is what I mean by content. Even in dreams, the mind is trying to construct something, to resolve something, to make meaning. And it can't. So I got up, and after a short while, I said out loud, "Oh, heartbreak's here." And I didn't push that away. I just allowed it. I began to name what was there for me. So there was heartbreak, sadness, a shock in my system, anger, all allowed. Now this is important. That is all still content. Naming it, noticing it, that's still happening in the field of thought. Though I wasn't trying to fix it by adding more thought to more thought, by spinning out a narrative. Believe me, I've done this a gazillion times. I wasn't trying to make it go away, and I wasn't getting completely pulled into the storyline either. I was just naming it. And instead there was a space where all of it was just being held. I could feel how the mind and the nervous system were kind of bouncing off of each other, like in an arcade game. Ping, ping, the balls bouncing off the rails, fast, chaotic, trying to stabilize, get to the right place on a slippery slope where gravity is always, always going to win. With the mind feeling like it's being knocked around so much as it tries to permanently pick itself up and dust itself off. It just can't. So here I am in the middle of a trauma response, and I'm laughing, not because it's funny exactly. Well, funny, not funny, right? It's because I know the absurdity of the mind trying to make sense of something that isn't actually resolvable. And of course, the mind, it's trying. This is what minds do when something hurts, like this hurt. And as I moved through my morning, heartbreak was still there. The energy of anger, the residue, that was still there. But something was quite different. It wasn't gripping everything because it was resting in something larger. And this is what I call context. This is conscious awareness, where I can say heartbreak is here, sadness is here, this angry activation is here, to feel the energy of that without needing to turn it into a narrative where I solve it or act on any of it. Action will come, and that will all happen of its own accord from being held in the space of conscious awareness. Nothing's being denied, nothing's being minimized, and none of this makes you weak. But the fight with it, that stops. Not because it doesn't matter, but because adding more thought to this does not actually help. And from conscious awareness, capacity starts to come back online. So what does that look like for me? Well, right now, I'm just here recording this. I'll go on with my day. I'll make good, grounded choices, not from being tangled in the content, but from a place of context, conscious awareness that can actually hold it. And I want to be very, very clear about this. This is not theory for me. I've lived in trauma in many forms. I know this territory. And what I'm pointing to, it's not a way out of your life. It's not a bypass, and it's also not an emotional bit of gluttonous expression I'm talking about. It's a place to stand within it all. You still get to have your story, your truth of what happened, to be witnessed and heard, for sure. But if you're in something today, if something is moving through you, there's nothing wrong with you for that. And you don't have to resolve it first. You can just begin here. I'll see you next time with more reflections on the difference between content and context. Oh, and I can promise you, no little puppy dogs or bunnies were maligned or mistreated in the making of this video. Thanks for listening in today. See you soon.